Well, hello viewers, and welcome back to an all-new installment of what is now PB Speed Shop. We're kind of, I got inspired to go with the new name. We'll kind of see how it fits. We might change it up some more. But for now, that's who we are, and this is something I've mentioned a long time ago. In fact, it's kind of several things put together that I've mentioned in some previous videos. I'm finally getting underneath this car, and I'm going to take everything apart that I need to so that I can clean and paint the underside, that red oxide color that a lot of these cars came with out of the factory, just to get it rust protected and cleaned up. And we're going to do a few other fun things along the way. This will probably be a series of videos. So let's stop talking about it and let me get to work. Y'all can watch me do the fun hard stuff. Well, I'm under the car now. I'm going to start by removing the exhaust, and then we're going to just go to every next item that we see that will appear to be in the way for painting, such as the shocks. I may or may not remove the brake lines from the bottom of the car and the fuel lines. We'll just kind of see how we feel when we get there and see how easy that appears to get taken off. We are going to remove the rear end because I'm going to reset the pinion preload and paint the rear end as well, so it'll be shiny and pretty from the back of the car, which will be nice, and it'll be protected from corrosion, kind of the same inspiration for doing the rest of the underside of the car. I'll get you over on time lapse, and you can watch it where it looks easy, where it goes by really fast. Here we go. All right, fellas and fillettes, to borrow someone's coin phrase. I knew that was a half, and I grabbed the wrong one. Now we're pulling the drive shaft. We'll have no more park gear, but we do have the park brake set for the time being before we end up on jack stands in the rear. Get this here zipped out. All right, I've already detached the exhaust and I've removed the drive shaft. I just loosened or removed the upper shock mounts on the inside of the car under the back seat. Because of the style of shock we have, I can just collapse these shocks down. Since we've got the conies on here, make them as short as possible. I learned that I didn't get one of them tight enough. When we go back together, I need to make sure I do that. Compress these down, which you cannot do with the standard pressurized shock. Go, shock, go. All right, shocks are down. Now we just need to unbolt the rear of the leaf springs and the front of the leaf springs, and we can remove our rear end assembly with the wheels and the springs and everything all attached. And then we'll of course have to have the car up on jack stand before we can do that. Which will make for a less safe working environment, but we might put some spare wheels under there too, or something to make it, under here too, to make it have something to fall on if it does fall off the jack stands. So here we go. Unbolting. Well, hello again. It's the evening time now. We're laying underneath our 65 Mustang. As you can see, you can maybe kind of get an idea of where we are. The camera is underneath the fuel tank. We have the rear end out. We have the exhaust system out. We're able to actually finally access the underside of this car fairly well now. I will probably eventually pull the fuel tank so I can get around it really well to prep that and paint it. That's the right way to do it. I just need to think of a place to drain my fuel where I can still use it, get some use out of that. And I'm gonna start scraping away at all this undercoating, which if you really look at it, it's not actual undercoating, it's gear oil with dirt on it. And we can probably all, as old car collectors, be thankful for our cars leaking, because that's probably what kept a lot of them from rusting. So this has worked as undercoating in a lot of areas. I'm going to need to probably spend quite a bit of time just scraping away the dirt that's all stuck to the bottom of the car, and take off some components like this bump stop, get that cleaned up. I have some, I don't know if y'all can see these or not, we have some exhaust brackets were welded on by you know, a shoddy exhaust shop at some point in time. Get all those cut off. They weren't being used with my exhaust system anyway, and they're not the right way to do it. I might add that GT dual exhaust brackets over here to hang mufflers from, but that's down the road a ways. So now it's just a lot of cleaning. There's gonna be a lot of scraping away the dirt and getting it prepped, which I feel like, if you know anything about paint work, it's 99% prep and 1% painting. Anyone can paint, and anyone can probably prep it for that matter, but the prepping is where all the work is. It's if you like prep work, then then you'll love doing paint and body type stuff. And I'm not a big paint and body guy, but it's just work. You just do it. You just do the work and blow through it and play your favorite music or something while you're working, and it's not bad. It's not, I can think of a lot worse things to do. And it'll be what we need to do to get the outcome we want, which is a clean, sealed, freshly painted underside of this car. And we're gonna do, when we're all done, it's gonna be red oxide under here. It's gonna look super cool. It's gonna look really good. It's gonna keep the bottom side of the car safe from corrosion. When you look under your car to problem solve and diagnose, you'll have a freshly painted red bottom of your car, or reddish brown, versus the black parts and all the contrast. It'll be easier for you to find leaks and find things you're looking at. It won't just be a big black blobby mess where you can't tell one part from the next, so they all look the same because they're all basically the same. So this will be a great thing to have done, and I really am excited about it. I'm excited to get this done. Working out in the heat today wasn't any fun, but I got all the parts out, got the exhaust out, got the rear end assembly out. So I'm going to switch you back over to time lapse, turn on my music that you cannot enjoy with me on a YouTube video, and sit back, relax, get yourself a cold drink. Oh, and there's one other thing that's really, really important I need to tell you, is how I have this car off the ground is pretty sketchy. So just as a disclaimer for all the videos, but especially this one, don't do as I do, do as I say. Get your car off the ground safely, use a lift, be on a flat, level, concrete floor. Safety is key, safety is important. You can't finish your projects if you die underneath them. So I'm gonna be careful with my jack stands up on this rock driveway out here. Might not seem super smart, and maybe it's not, but I'm gonna be as careful as I can be. I don't recommend you to do it this way, but this is the way that I was able to do it. So there's that. And sit back and enjoy. I'll do all the work. You can just sit and watch. So here we go. Well, we're back. It's a bright new day. It's, in fact, a few days later. It's Monday. I was last underneath this working in the dark and letting you watch on time lapse on Friday night. Had some weekend time, and I've made a more complete game plan. So for now, we're going to remove this bumper and the valance, and then we're going to get to cleaning up the rear section and go ahead and get that coated. So here we go. Alright, now that we're tore down that far, let me kind of show you what we have. I took the fuel tank out yesterday. I did that off camera. That was mostly just draining the tank for a long time into some boat cans. But you see we have this surface rust up here. It's really not that bad yet, but it's bad enough it needs to be fixed pretty quick. So we're going to clean this up. Clean up all around where the tank goes. Clean all this up. And now that I have this off, you can really get to the underside of this a lot better. And you can, with the tank out, you can magically get up next to the fuel rails, or not fuel rails, up next to the frame rails. A lot better. See if I can get you a decent enough view. I feel like this is probably anything. So much of what you're going to have to treat and prep and all that stuff is always along the edges. So it's a little funky, but it's not terrible. I'll probably finish taking off all these brackets, and I can unbolt a couple, luckily. And there's some I need to cut off, like this. And that one there, and that one there, welded on. It's lovely. And then we can get to cleaning all this stuff up and get it painted, get it all freshly coated. Then the car can start going back together. We actually have more going on up front. Wow, what am I laying on? That's sharp. Yikes. Okay. It was these. Oh, my lower back. You can get to quite a bit of the floor with how we have it now, which we're also going to take out these subframe connectors So we can get underneath that part of the floor. And then, because there's always an and then, we're going to eventually pull that transmission out, get that out of the way so we can clean up above that and paint. Which kind of works out, because I'll give you a little bit of a spoiler. We're going to end up removing that transmission for good and replacing it with a top loader 4-speed. So we'll have that fun to do. And I've never done that before, but from what it sounds, it seems pretty straightforward. These cars were built on an assembly line, and each shell could have had, you know, a inline 6, a V8, an automatic, a 3-speed manual, 4-speed manual. So there's just a little, like a knockout on the firewall that you need to knock out. And after you do that, everything just bolts right in. So I unbolt the pedal assembly, unbolt the shifter assembly, and just start going together and change the speedometer cable. We'll kind of get to the details when we get there. But I'll tell you this, as far as the big picture goes on this project, because I have this car so not so safely up on jack stands the way it is, I really don't want to pull that transmission with it just sitting the way it is. So what I really would rather do, and what I believe we're going to do, which will be to our advantage in many ways, I'm going to blast and refinish pretty much everything I can comfortably get to with the subframe connectors off. And then I'm going to go ahead and reassemble the back part of the car, at least put the rear end back in. Probably the fuel tank too, because it might as well go back in just so there's not a gaping hole that enters into the car for all the wildlife out here to get in there and make nests. But that way we can put the car back on the ground where the rear wheels are on those ramps. So the car can't fall on me, basically. And then we can pull the transmission out, and then we can start, or I guess after the transmission's out, we can prep, clean, and paint the underside of the tunnel, which would be just kind of like the finishing piece, and then start installing the 4-speed, you know, in a more safe environment. I shouldn't be doing a whole lot of banging and shaking around underneath it the way it is now, but I mean, if you've ever pulled a transmission out, you know there's a lot of, you have to unbolt everything and then usually like grab a hold of the tail shaft, kind of shake it around and wiggle it all loose, and then battle the multi-100-pound transmission out. And there's things you want it to do when it's more stable and not going to fall on you. So we'll get to work and get the rear section of this all cleaned up, get those brackets cut out, and start a blasting. Here we go. Alright there, gang. Wait a minute. Okay. Well, we've cut the exhaust brackets. Very ugly welded exhaust brackets off of the bottom of the car. Now we're going to get the blasting. Here's what we're going to use. This $25 gun from Harbor Freight. And we're going to use aluminum oxide. See if I can sort of do this without making a giant mess. Funnel that we never use with oil again. It has a little screen. You need to work it through. You don't plug your gun up, I imagine. I think that's working. Is it? Slowly. This will take a long while. Damn, it'll take all day. Does it sip through there? Just about none of it does. Holy moly. Okay, I'm gonna risk. Just gonna hit it hard. I'm gonna risk tearing up my gun, I guess. A little bit of that's gone through. I'm not gonna use the screen that measures out the granule size. See if I'm gonna regret that. Okay. Put our glasses on. Ugh. Not quite 50 pounds anymore, but that's nice. We're all PPE'd up. the blaster appears to be working. It's messy and it's little. I'm not going to get the camera too close. I'm afraid it'll mess up my camera. It's very messy. I'm going to put you back on time lapse, keep it at a distance, and you kind of get the gist of it. You'll see how filthy I get. That'd be the main thing to learn from this. So here we go. Well, yet again, it's a bright new day, and we've got pretty much everything prepped up to a certain point because we haven't pulled the transmission out yet, and I've kind of been over all that. So I'm going to show y'all a quick little run through of what it all looks like, and then I'm going to vacuum everything, get rid of all the aluminum oxide dust, and then we're going to wipe down all the surfaces with thinner to get it ready to start slapping on some 415. So let's take a look. And we're going to wipe down all these roughed up surfaces. Look at all that aluminum oxide dust. You know, frankly, I feel like the fact that I used the blaster was really good because it taught me probably to never do that again, at least not under these circumstances. I was lazy and I didn't mask between here and there, and it dusted the entire interior of the car. So we're gonna need to vacuum all this. That was my mistake, being sloppy. Not very great, but hey, at least now y'all know not to do it. I made a lot of progress with an angle grinder and a DA that y'all got to sort of see on time lapse. So now it's pretty well stripped. You get far enough to the front where you can't really see, and it's still greasy under there, and that's going to just have to come after the transmission comes out. But it cleaned up really well, and even the condition of the metal up under here, where it seemed to have been the worst, is really not that bad. Kind of hard to tell. They look like holes, but they're not. That's stuff I need to kind of finish cleaning more. Yeah, the blasting, I mean, I used the world's cheapest blaster and all that kind of stuff, and I'm sure that would have been better with a better blaster and whatever, but the DA and the angle grinder did such a great job that's the way I would have gone 100% the next go around. I kept thinking that a lot of these areas were just too hard to get to with those tools, and they really weren't. I mean, anything you can't get to, you can get to it with just a sheet of red Scotch-Brite. So yeah, there's that. Let's go ahead and get the vacuuming, and then we'll get to wiping it down, and then we can start painting. Okay, I've thoroughly soaked down this rag in paint thinner. Super thorough. I'm just gonna take, I'm gonna probably need to really clean it. Maybe even with soap and water. And then come back and do this again, because this is nasty in here. Super nasty. Yeah, it's looking like that's gonna happen. But you get the gist of it. This needs to be completely grease-free, grit-free. Super prepped. then we can come in and start wiping it down with our primer coat, the 415. Well, everybody, I think we've got it as prepped as I'm gonna get it. As you should all know with prep work, it's never actually done, so you just pick how good you want it to be, and then you stop. Here's an old can of 415. We're gonna pour it in this little clear jug right here and get started on this trunk floor. We have our paint key, church key combo. They always come together. I'm not quite sure why painting is a drinking game, but conveniently it is if you feel so inclined. You don't have to have a bottle opener and a paint can opener. You do need to hope that this can's not bonded to the lid permanently, like it feels like it is. But I'll bet we can get it open. Come on, paint can. We're on camera. You gotta be quick. Slowing us down. I'm gonna have to edit this part out. We're gonna destroy the can getting the lid off because of spilled 415. Come on, lid. It felt like liquid paint in there still. The gloves have just been annihilated. Never had this happen to me before. But all you have to do, if you want something to not go your way, just put it on camera, and all of a sudden it won't work. So yeah, I'm having trouble getting the lid off of this. And I know it's because it's all sealed up with old paint. Just trying to break into my gloves and all that. You didn't have a great view. It's kind of down here out of sight, and I was blocking it. I can let you watch me break into this can. It's moved up a lot for how much it's still sealed. Wearing these gloves at this point is really a formality. They're not covering much. Not covering much. We'll go ahead and get some fresh ones. Okay, I have some new gloves and a new paint can opening tool here. See if we can. Okay, might be painting right out of. Damn, this thing still has still over halfway full. Poor can. I wonder if I have an empty paint can in there. Something tells me I could, but I don't know for sure. And here's going to be the money shot. Start lapping this stuff on here. I thought this was supposed to be a rolling brush. That's kind of starting to roll. Kind of rolling there a little bit. Been wanting to get this stuff sealed up forever, and I'm finally in here. doesn't really roll. It doesn't. Kind of does. There. Gonna get smeary down there. Now it's rolling a little bit. Oh, paint rollers. I really like the patina of the old original white paint, but I've just got to get this cleaned up and sealed. Because what I don't like, that I have experienced through my life, is something that's old and neat and fun, and then all of a sudden it has rusted holes in it. And then all of a sudden the cool factor of the rusted patina is outweighed by the fact that you've been staring at rust for over a decade and it's been eating away. So, yeah, I'm still filming. So, sometimes you have to kill the patina so that you can save the project. Because if it ends up with new sheet metal, that's not going to be near as original in patina as repainting the original metal. One way to look at it. Some of this is just going to be lapped in here because it kind of has to be. It's so fun painting things that don't have to look pretty. Doing it just for the necessity. And that is what it's all about. And seeing how it's black, it will show any fun imperfections, which we love. But that's okay, because it's in the trunk floor. And it's not the hood. You just paint-a-roo. Keep on a-painting. So much of this around these edges, always the poor innocent little edges, is just bare metal. Which you may not can see because I do not have the best camera angles, but you can trust me and take my word for it. Move all these here tools out of the way. Tool bag's moved because it rained. Move my paint can out of the way. Got the first bit of paint on my glove so far that I've gotten on me. I'm kind of even wondering how much of this I'm really going to do and how much of it I'm going to not do. Because there's a lot of this that really is thrivable. Oh, to get that bare metal covered, it feels so good. And yeah, taking the fuel tank out was really kind of a necessity on this job. Could have gotten around it, but it would have made everything harder, and you couldn't get any of these edges. And it's pretty easy to take out. Hard part's just taking the fuel out of it. It was hard for me just because I had small things to drain it into. Okay. I think everything in here that I'm gonna paint, besides right there, is painted. Now for underneath. So let's go down there. I say underneath starts right back here. I forgot to tell you one other fun fact, is the underside of this car originally appears to have been blue. Which, a little fun factoid that'll make me sound smart, is that from what I've researched on these cars, they were undercoated with, in many cases, leftover car paint, which was either just a color, a Ford color they had on hand, or multiple colors mixed together, which probably generally made brown. I didn't get that straightened, did I? But in this case, it was blue, and it looks to be original. Many things on this car appear to not be original, but I believe that that is. And that's okay. It's okay with me. Not much I can do about it. We'll just paint, paint, paint. Paint, 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 paint. Keep on painting. Okay, sorry if this is a weird angle. I don't know how much of me is going to continue to make it into the frame very well. I'll do my best to keep it interesting and fun. All those things. But I also need to be able to actually get the work done. So that's what I'll be doing down here. I might speed some of this up. That way you get to watch the paint dry, which is always exciting. Painting the back surface of that where I can't see it. Good times. Sturdy spider web that I missed when I was wiping it out. Oh well. Locked in time now. Be trying to do this on my back. I don't know if I can still reach it or not, but I'm going to try. dripping on me. Getting drippy. Some of these little crevice areas I got a spray can for. So not to stress myself out too much about getting into all the little hard to reach spots with the brush or roller. Just spray them. The fuel lines and brake lines are going to get the special treatment as well. No extra charge. Didn't have to take them off. Figured that was the least I could do for them. Coat them. Getting drippy on me here. A little bit drippy. Outside frame rail. No matter what you lay under, you'll always have debris. Always have debris that wants to fall in your eye. It's just the name of the game. Name o' the game. Painting overhead is also not super fun. But I'm not going to flip my car over, and I am going to paint the bottom side. So, here we are. It's still dripping on me. What's your deal? Let's change our view for a second. Good arm workout. A lot of overhead stuff here. Okay, keep on trucking. It's crazy how many dents you find when you slap some shiny paint on something. How weird it is to get, whoa, weird it seems to me to get dents in places where I'm seeing them. There's some of the money shots right there. All this good stuff. Switch arms. Ugh, getting tired on that side. It's dark under here. A little light doesn't do a whole lot. Covered in black. Whoa, covered in black paint yet. You just gotta keep on sliming it up there. It's not gonna apply itself. I can probably, yeah, I probably will. Do that for the sake of getting paint on my tools. pull the fuel line all the way off. We can at least get it accessible, I think, if this bolt's actually backing out. I think it is. There it goes. Cool. Just hold this out of the way, right there next to the socket, and ratchet. So we hopefully won't lose them. And now this will dangle much more freely. Oh, that's much better. Much better. All right. I can slop paint in behind all this. Which I will tell you too, this roller seems to be doing a great job. I'm liking that I'm rolling it. The blaster, I wasn't a fan. Been there, done that now, tried it. I've used cabinet blasters and liked them, but obviously they're contained. But this roller is working good. Whoa. If you ever bump into your light, there's a 100% chance that it will shine in your face. That's my pro tip of the day. Okay. Hope y'all's view is not too terribly dark as you're in the dark watching me paint the bottom side of my car black. But tomorrow you'll get to watch me paint it red oxide, which is more of kind of a brown. It just has the fancy name red. As if that's supposed to mean something. Maybe it'll come out more red than it looks like on the lid of the can. We can hope that it will. I really should have done something about more lighting. This is terrible. But it might be the way you're doing it at home. You might be financially challenged and have to do things where every part of your job isn't perfect. Kind of like right here. I could have spent a few extra grand on ways to make this a little easier, but then I couldn't have afforded my project. Couldn't have afforded all the fun parts. That's kind of the whole point. At least I think it is. Got some sweat. Either that or paint Trying to run down into my ear hole. Flip over for that. Trapeze it around like this. So it can run back out. Oh, that feels better already. We don't need that sweat or paint in our ear hole, especially paint. Hopefully it's not paint. Whoa, easy there. Easy there, paint cup. I don't want to fight. I don't want to rumble. Man, whatever that is in my ear is still there. Maybe it is. It's probably paint. As much as I don't want it to be. Paint. I don't need paint in my ear hole. Nobody does. There's some funky little angles. All this stuff in here. Making for some tighter clearances. New angle shows some spots of mist that I thought I got. So there's that. Let's get back behind that. Get back here. Take a look. See what we got. Yeah, that's a lot. It's a lot of dirt. I need to clean that out real quick. That I just missed before. Damn it, I missed that. I don't know, but I did. 30 minutes of painting. 30 minutes of painting. Okay, now I can slap some paint on there. Now I can get sloppy. Paint slop. Some birds out there going nuts. Okay, I'm gonna touch up with the shizzle. This is top coat, and not the primary. This is mainly for the differential, but I'm gonna still use it as my additional under for primary. Gonna be all the important spots anyway. Might as well. He has a fan tip. It doesn't like those little crevices at all. It's a little odd. Frankly. Yeah, let's just kick the paint bucket over and pick that right back up. Might be getting more of this top coat. I used too much of it down here. Try not to go too crazy with this stuff as I sit here and go crazy with it. I don't think I've missed anything too important. Just walk across the rocks with your shoulder blades. This is one of the main areas I was want. Okay. Shocking amount of that has gotten on the white part of the car. So spray paint goes, I guess. It goes everywhere. Probably all over that black truck too. I can use engine paint on the rear end. Ugh. If I use too much of this in here. This is all really just to make a good base for the red oxide anyway. All right, let's get the hell out of here. Let this stuff cure where I can breathe. I just pictured that being a little more touch-uppy and not so big painty. Doesn't have to have stupid solid coverage. It needs to be a good base coat. So we'll check back in tomorrow, and then we'll make all that red oxide.